Welcome to the Pathways to Prosperity podcast, where we explore personal, professional, and financial success stories of top achievers. Let's dive in.
Hello, today we're here with a good friend of mine, Miss Amanda. She's a professional, created a successful business in 10 short years in real estate investing. How are you doing today, Amanda?
Hey, I'm great. Thank you for having me, guys.
Awesome. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on and chat with us. Can you give us a quick snapshot of your business right now, Amanda, and where you're at?
Sure. Right now, I'm 10 years in. August is my 10-year investing anniversary. I actually just ran my statistics for another reason, but in those 10 years, I've done 61 deals. 80% of those have been off market and 90% have been creative financed in some capacity in one way or another. I started back in 2014 as a single mom, and then I quickly became an unemployed single mom. So I had to sink or swim, so to speak. So I had to quick and fast learn the creative financing aspect of real estate, and that has led me to where I am today.
Awesome. The amazing thing that I love, and having met you and seen what you've done, you've been a great inspiration to my wife and my daughters in this
Thank you.
business, and giving them some inspiration to hopefully get a little more involved into it. But yeah, just so everyone knows, we met Amanda. She ran a local real estate meeting, and quickly fell in love with her and the people, and she just gives and gives and gives, and there's not many people like her. So, from that avenue, we definitely appreciate that.
Thank you, Taryn.
There's a lot of competition in this space. What sets you apart? I might have already answered that, but
There is a lot of competition. The market has quickly become oversaturated with investors. New investors are pouring in, especially from the West Coast. They can't really make numbers work out there, so they're coming over to the East Coast to invest, specifically in Florida. You have to find your what they call unfair advantage a lot of times. Everyone has one, I believe. You just have to kind of figure out what that is. I try to really create a relationship with my sellers. I have a number of sellers where I've bought a couple deals from over the years, where you just continue building that relationship. Also, word of mouth is imperative. My integrity and my relationships that I've built over these past 10 years have led me to where I am today. When I tell you majority of my deals are off market, that's 80% off market. That's very, very difficult to do. That means I'm not buying off the MLS. That means I'm out there pounding the pavement, so to speak, and trying to find deals. And it's a lot of times it's because of these relationships that I've built with either realtors or just people in the community, where they'll know of a deal, or they'll give me the lead, and then I'll be able to go in there and negotiate it. And I like to be the only one bidding. That is why a lot of mine are off market, is because I don't like a bidding war. So if it's on the MLS and every investor from here to California can see it, the likelihood of you being able to get that deal at the price you need it to be is very slim. So if I can find those off-market deals where I am the only bidder, I'm negotiating direct to seller, and I can give that seller what they need. Not oftentimes, oftentimes it's not, cash what they need. They need something extra. They need somebody to hold their hand. They need someone to deal with stuff. They need someone to navigate a probate, which can be, confusing. um, family matters, what have you. So whatever it is that person ultimately needs, that's where I come in and set myself apart. Is like, okay, well, what do you need? You know, I know you need to sell the house, but what else is it that you need? And what can I help you with? Um, do you need to find other housing? You know, whatever it is there a medical situation? I will go out of my way and bend over backwards to um, either place that person somewhere or whatever the situation is. We will come in and aid that person in that life event that happened, whether there's bankruptcy, foreclosure, there's all kind of scenarios to where someone might need to sell a house and quickly. And I will also say that there have been times where I've been the lowest bidder, and they've taken my offer over somebody else, and not lowest bidder by a couple thousand, lowest bidder by 10,000 one time, almost 20,000 another time. And it's because I've met the need of that person, which was outside the sale of the house.
Yeah, I think it all goes back to something that I've mentioned before. I think you're phenomenal at is that you're a relationship builder,
Yeah.
and willing to take that time and to show people your heart. It makes all the difference in the world to them. And like I said, it isn't always all about money. I think a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people get caught up on that, and it's also helpful when you're creating your own deals and not going through the MLS. You can speak to those people one on one, and you can really learn what's important to them. So I
Yes,
definitely
exactly.
understand that for
Yeah,
sure.
when the saying says real estate is a people business, it's very true. New investors, um, they'll learn that, over time, that it's more of a people business than it is just making an offer and taking a deal down. It's there's a lot more that happens in the background of these deals that um, people just don't even know about.
Okay. So if someone listening to us now wants to get better at kind of what we're discussing right now, maybe the
Mhm.
people aspect of it, what would be one or two things that you might recommend to them to focus on, or to tips that might help them to understand how to get a little deeper when you're reaching out to people instead of just making it about the numbers?
Yeah, you gotta it's imperative to just talk to that person, just build that relationship. By the time I'm done with a seller, I know their family history, I know their medical history, I know their kids' names, I know what their pets' names are, I know where they're going. I know if they don't have a place to go, then I'm actively finding them housing. Um, I know I pretty much know the ins and outs of this person's life, or at least I try to. There are deals where that's just not going to happen. It's not possible. Either it's an MLS deal or whatever, and of course those deals are out there. But if we're talking about the majority of my deals and how I've been able to take down that many in the 10 years, it's because I've got to the root problem.
Okay. Um, just digging in a little deeper there. When you're talking about getting to know these people, is this something that you're doing in the initial phone call, or is this something that you're doing after you've looked at the property, or, you know, when do
it's
you take
it's
putting that additional effort in, I guess?
yeah, it is from point of contact. I will I'll be vulnerable myself to these people. I will say, oh yeah, I understand, because I've had a similar situation. I was there. I know what you're going through. I get it. And it'll be from the first point of I do a lot of cold calling. So cold calling is very difficult to one, get them to answer the phone, and then two, once you get them on the phone, to make sure they don't hang up on you. So it's from point of contact all the way through meeting them in person. Um, and some of these deals, it has taken me 4 and 5 years to get negotiated and buy. So there's a lot of follow-up and a lot of hand-holding and relationship building that will happen. It doesn't happen sometimes in the first phone call or even the first meeting. So I have bought deals that, like I say, it's taken me years to get. And that's,
Wow.
you have to be able to be patient and continue to pursue that relationship, irregardless of them allowing you to buy the deal or not. Does that make sense? So a lot of times the houses that I'm buying are what I call not for sale. They're not for sale. There's not a for sale sign in the yard.
Yes.
It's not on the
Yes.
MLS. They're simply not for sale. At some point in the future, they'll be for sale. And I want to be that first phone call that they make. So I might have contacted a person, 3 years ago about a house, but I'll continue to contact that person throughout those years, every few months or whatever. I'll send them a letter. I'll stop and talk to them. I'll knock on the door, phone calls, what have you. So the relationships that I'm talking about that I've built have been over a significant period of time.
Just to clarify a couple things. One, this is just you that's doing this business. It's not someone else, right?
I do have a business partner.
Okay.
Lori and I work together.
But you guys don't have
So
a team of people that are doing this to do
no,
61 foot.
no. Oh, no. I don't have someone that's cold calling for me. I don't have assistants. Um, I have houses that I own and I bought all, kind of by myself. And then there's houses where I've partnered with Lori, primarily the flips where we'll partner together. We'll do a JV on flips. And with those, it's a mixed bag. So sometimes it's a deal that I bring to the table. Sometimes it's a deal that, she brings to the table solely, or so a lot of times it's deals that we have worked on together over these years. We will go in together as a team, and speak to these people or go on appointments or whatever, so we work very well together that way. But it's not always the two of us, but though it often is the two of us going in, and Lori has her own subset of she's a realtor. So, if it's a deal that really just needs to be put on the MLS and listed, then we'll tell that owner, we'll say, listen, this you just need to put this thing on the MLS. There's nothing for us really to do here. So let's let Lori list it, versus trying to flip it or wholesale it or what have you. So it just depends on the deal. It depends on the deal and what it is and that kind of thing.
I think that goes a long ways too with people being able to tell them that, it doesn't make sense to sell this to me or me to try to buy it. You would be better served to go this avenue. And once again, that's from making that personal touch and contact with people. So,
oh yeah, I'll always tell them. I'm always very honest, and I'll say, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you're going to be better served, on the MLS. Now there are sellers out there that just simply do not want to be, on the MLS. They just don't want people in and out of their houses. Whatever the situation may be, and then we can take a different avenue. But if I meet with somebody, I met with a widow last week, and I told her, I said, listen, you just need to put this on the MLS and get it sold that way, honestly.
so you had hit on something that I think a lot of people need to hear, because I feel like in this industry, so many people are getting involved in this because of the get rich quick thing. But you mentioned about, having projects that you've been working on for 5 years. I just want to clarify, this doesn't sound like what you're doing is about getting rich quickly, right?
No, absolutely not. So real estate is not a sprint, right? It's a marathon. So um you likely will not get rich quick. you likely will make, and I've made you name it, I've made that mistake. We can sit and talk about my mistakes too. Um, so
We're
real
gonna get
estate
there.
can,
Give us a second.
oh, that's where the fun starts. Um, real estate is really, you're in it for the long haul. You're in it. Um, like I say, it's a marathon. And if you're in it to get rich quick, you're going to find out very quickly that it's just not going to happen. And there's also different parts and pieces of real estate investing, and nobody fits in one box. I like the expression, what box? What
Yeah,
box?
yeah.
What box are we talking about? There is no box. Um, so there's just so many different avenues and ways, and you don't necessarily have to, let's say, own real estate. You don't want to be a landlord or a landlady, and you don't have time to flip per se. Well, you could be a lender, you could be a hard money lender or a private lender, and make money in real estate that way. Um, you could be a note holder and make some, make money that way. So, there's so many different avenues. I haven't even touched on, myself, in real estate, but not every aspect of real estate will fit your needs, and your time frame, and what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah. No, I just like to get clarification out to people because there's so many gurus out there that will tell you how
Mm,
you make all this money so fast just so they can get your money.
yeah,
And I
but
just
most
like
of
to,
these gurus on like Instagram and YouTube and that kind of thing, a lot of what you see is fluff. A lot of what you see isn't accurate. It's watered down. The the fancy cars and the fancy mansions, those are probably all rented. They're not, just for the video. There's very few mentors, and I don't even call them gurus. I call them mentors. I have some older mentors that I can call, that have, maybe like a course you can buy that's very inexpensive. But the gurus that, um you can buy their course for whatever, and then they want you to buy a $50,000 master course. I've known investors or new investors that have spent their life savings on these courses and never done a deal. You are better off going out and finding a deal and losing your money and learning
yeah,
all the lessons than you are buying into a $50,000, $75,000 master program that, they're designed to confuse you. They're designed to keep you coming back and purchasing more and more and more. Where if you just find a local, investor that's willing to kind of take you under their wing or give you some pointers, or, um, a couple of these older mentors, um, you're better off doing that, buying, somebody a cup of coffee or spending the day with them. When I first started, what I would do, and I still do this, but if I'm driving down the road and I see, what looks like a flip going on, I used to stop and knock on the door, and walk in, and ask questions, and who do you use for this, and who do you use for that, and how'd you find this house, and I'm Amanda, and I'm wanting to be, an investor. And that's how I found a lot of my local investors. That way, is just popping into different job sites and asking questions.
I
And
like that.
you'll find a lot. Most investors, they're open books. Most investors want to see other investors succeed. My biggest competitors, I can call them today and ask questions, or have them help me navigate a deal or run numbers that, maybe I'm a little nervous and I want a second or third set of eyes on this deal. I will call my direct competitors, and they will stop what they're doing and walk me through it, or look at it and help me with the numbers. And we're out there competing together, in the same market. Um,
No, that's what I
everybody
definitely
can,
appreciate being
yeah,
able to do
yeah,
the same.
everybody can play in the same
Yeah,
sandbox.
yeah, yeah. No, and that's the big thing. And I love how you mentioned just asking. I always told people,
Hmm.
for me, I'm like, I'll come and work for you for a day if you'll share some of your knowledge with me. I don't expect anybody to
Hmm.
give me anything for free, but I'd rather be in the middle of it learning than, getting a book or
Yeah.
paying for all those things. And I always say to people, if they're charging that much for the course, why aren't they just, if it's that much money in real estate, why are they selling you a course? A little
Yeah.
confused, but anyways. So mentioning too, what is the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome in your career?
My biggest competitors. I, uh, I have to out negotiate them. I have to get there before they do. I'm not a hedge fund. I'm not a trust fund baby. I don't have big boy money in my pocket. So I have to, I have to out negotiate. I have to outwit them basically. Um, so that's a piece of the pie. Finding the deal, is a piece of that's probably the hardest part of it. Is you might have all the knowledge in the world on how to structure a deal, and you've got all the capital you need to take the deal down, but you don't have the deal. And that's um I get calls all the time. Amanda, how'd you find that? Amanda, how'd you get that deal? What did you do? And sometimes a lot of times I'll tell them, but sometimes, I got a little secret sauce I don't want to tell people. But it's just oftentimes cold calling, or knocking on the door, and just going back to old school. Um, I've heard investors running ads on Facebook or whatever. I've never successfully been able to do that. It's always the old school, pounding the pavement, writing the letters, those kind of ways to find a deal. But that's probably the most uh, frequent question that I get asked is, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for my deal. If I don't have a deal, how do I get one? And then
Mhm.
once I get one, um, hopefully nobody else is bidding on it too, you know. So
Yeah.
those two things are probably, the hardest to navigate. And a lot of people will kind of have a fear of, well, I don't have the money. I don't have the capital, but I have the time. And I tell people all the time, like, listen, the capital isn't a problem. The money is not a problem. Absolutely, money is not a problem. If you find a deal, and it has to be a deal, you find a deal where the numbers really work, we can wholesale that thing right away and just make a wholesale fee, or we can JV or whatever. But finding money to do a deal isn't an issue. So I just tell people all the time, don't even like think that that's going to hold you back in some way, because it's not.
Okay. No, I agree from there. So what, if you don't mind sharing, maybe what's one of the biggest mistakes that you've made?
um
Or it
well,
doesn't be one of your biggest mistakes, but maybe something that, made you question what you're doing.
I've made mistakes from start to finish. I make mistakes. Even this last deal I just wholesaled, I made a mistake. Wasn't detrimental. Can be resolved, but you're gonna learn every single deal you do. You're gonna learn something new. Um, I'm a landlord or a landlady, and I'm also a flipper. I'm a wholesaler. I've been a private money lender on deals. So, I've kind of dabbled in quite a bit, but on the rental side, probably one of the biggest mistakes is trying to manage my own rentals. A lot of mistakes there. Um, so I would highly encourage that if you're going to do rentals, you just out the gate get a property manager. Don't. I had to manage my own. I wasn't able to really afford a property manager. However, looking back, I lost more money trying to manage my own than if I would have just hired a property manager. But those were good lessons learned. So I know not to what to do in the future, and I know to hire people smarter than me in that capacity. Now on the flipping side, um, you've made mistakes by hiring the wrong contractors, paying too much for a house. One of the biggest things we did one time was, this is so embarrassing. we ripped the wrong roof off the wrong house, and we didn't. My roofers did.
Yeah.
But so I pull up to the job site and I'm like, the roof. I tell the painter, I'm like, well, the roofers told me they were going to be here today. Where are my roofers? And he goes, well, I'm not sure where they are, but right over there, there's some roofers. And I look over across the street and down the road. There's my roofers. Ripped off the whole roof of the wrong house. So that was a bit of fiasco. So some nice lady in the community got her a free roof that day. I
Wow.
call it charity work now.
Wow.
Um, so just make sure your addresses are correct when you go to put a roof on.
That's a big mistake.
And it
By
was a
somebody.
it was a huge mistake. So, uh, but where real estate is so forgiving, that particular deal, we made enough money to have covered the roof that needed to be put on that house and the roof that we gave the lady across the street for free. So the deal supported two roofs.
Wow.
Um, that, and that could have gone that could have went real bad. She could have sued us and things like that. But we just said, hey, listen, it was our mistake. You're getting a free roof, and she was super happy about that. Um, so those kind of contract, hiring the wrong contractor and having to rip out. We've ripped out so many backsplashes. Tile guys, just make sure you have a really good tile guy that knows what he's doing. Otherwise, it's just though it's kind of finished work, you have to be meticulous. It has to be right, or it's just not going to look right. So we've ripped out a number of backsplashes before. So it happens, and this is why I tell people, when you're running numbers on a house, you have got to have what we call an oopsie fund, a contingency fund, whatever you want to call it. So the bigger the rehab numbers are, the larger that oopsie fund needs to be. As you peel back the onion of that house, you're going to find something that you weren't expecting in the house, or you're going to have a contractor come along and mess something up. So you have to have an oopsie fund in your numbers for every flip you do, no matter how seasoned you are. I always recommend that.
Absolutely. You hit on a couple things that I think are key for especially most new people is, A, you have to buy the house right. You can never
Oh
make
yeah,
money trying to get your contractors to do it for less, or by trying to buy cheaper materials. I think the biggest thing that most new people make is they don't buy their properties right. And then they're trying to be
absolutely.
else out in order to make the numbers work. Real
Mm-hmm.
hard to be successful doing this. Um,
I'm seeing that's another part of what's making it so difficult right now in this market. What you asked that question is, all these new investors are coming along and they're overpaying for these properties. I can't compete with that. I can't overpay, and I know they're overpaying, and I'm like, ooh, ooh, they're making a
a lot of
mistake.
time. Yeah.
So, yeah, but that, those are my competitions right now, are all these new investors, and they're willing to overpay on these houses, and they'll lose money, but what are you going to do? I can't take a house down knowing I'm going to lose money. So,
Yep. Yep. The other thing I love that you mentioned about is being a landlord. I think too many people, and especially if you have a big heart, you cannot manage your own properties.
that's exactly, you hit the
Everybody
nail
has
on the
a
head.
everybody has a sob story, and I mean,
Yeah,
I don't mean to be disrespectful, but when you have to pay your bills, their sob story isn't helping to pay them. I think for most people, that's the most important thing, is to find someone professionally to manage their property. And if you can't afford that, then you probably shouldn't buy the property. You can't
exactly.
afford to
Yeah,
have to manage.
one of the biggest lessons I learned is, I'm not social services. I'm not senior services. I'm not social services. Um, those services are out there, but I'm not it. I'm here to run a business. And you have to separate that, unfortunately. I had a lady living in one of my houses for way, 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 way too long. She was in very, very poor health. we would go over there and make sure that she had groceries. My husband would go make sure her, like her wheelchair, when she broke her wheelchair, he'd go fix it, these kind of things. But business wise, it was not a good decision to have let her stay in that house. And I kept her rent significantly lower than market rent. That she was on a fixed income, so we kept her rent very low. What ended up happening was, and this will happen to you too as a new landlord, as you own that house, your taxes and insurance are going to go up exponentially. Those especially here in Florida, especially in Florida. So what we're seeing now is insurance rates are skyrocketing. Taxes have skyrocketed. So that has that has changed my numbers for all my homes, all of them. Even though the loan payment's getting, paid down, it's not made that much of a dent when you consider your taxes and insurance. So ultimately what happened was, there at the end, I was basically paying for her to stay in my house because I could not raise her rent to where I needed to cover PITI. So, you had I had a property manager, I didn't know this lady personally. I didn't feel bad, for this lady, then probably we would have had to not renew her release a long time, before I had to give her a non-release renewal. And business wise, it would have been a lot better for me.
Yeah. No, yeah, and like I said, I think that's a great piece of advice, especially for new people. And it's very hard to separate that emotional from
Mm-hmm.
the business when you're doing it on an everyday basis. And like you said, when you really know those people, it makes it really
Yeah,
tough.
makes it very difficult.
Um, Sounds like things are going well for you in your business right now. A lot of people are looking towards the future and how they can create passive income to enhance or even replace their income. What are your thoughts and ideas of what people could do as far as real estate to help them along the way with that?
Yeah, well, couple few things. So, know your market, know your numbers, know your rental numbers. Right now in today's market, in my market now, I have a small market that I work in by design. So right now in today, present day, and in my market, rental numbers just don't work. They don't work for me. Actually, I don't know that they're working for anyone to go buy a rental right now in today's in my market. So you might have to, one, you might have to wait. Two, you might have to really look for those unicorn deals where rental numbers work in your market. Or three, you might have to become a long distance investor and invest in a market where numbers do work. And if you have to do that, you have to be very, very, very careful. Um, know where you're investing, have boots on the ground, have experts in that location that can help guide you, because you don't want to buy in a war zone unknowingly. But so there's different ways you can do it. You might have to think outside of the box, right? There's no box, so but you're gonna have to really get creative when if you're wanting to start right now, you don't have any properties and you want some passive income. I would encourage you to you might just have to squirrel away your money until the market changes. You could also maybe become a private lender, where you can get your rate of return that way. But regular Joe Schmo just looking to invest in the market I would tell them to wait.
Okay. Okay. You had mentioned private lender and hard money. If that was something that people wanted to consider, what would be things that you'd recommend for them to look for, or to, how would they, maybe what's the best place to start at least learning about doing something like that?
Um, you definitely want to do your research, and you definitely want to maybe read some books, maybe talk to your CPA or a financial advisor or what have you. And so once you've done your research and you know how to lend your money and the legal paperwork and things like that that you're going to have, I would highly encourage before you lend your money that you are very comfortable with the person that you're lending it to, right? Because when you're lending money, you're lending to the person, but you're also lending on the deal. So for me, when I do private lending, I haven't done a lot of it, but when I do, one, I want to know the person that's doing the deal, and two, I want to see the deal. I want to know the deal, see the deal, walk the deal, before I I wire funds. So I highly
Just for
encourage.
clarification, you're saying you want to see the deal, you want to know the deal.
Mhm.
Why is that? This is for people that may not know real estate. What are you looking for
Yeah,
when you
yeah, you
see the deal or
yeah,
walk the
you
deal?
you you want your money to be safe, right? So
There you go. Yep.
it, it, okay, any real estate is risky. I don't care if it's a rental, if it's a flip, there's a certain amount of risk. And that's another thing when you're running numbers on these deals. And I have to tell realtors this a lot, is like, listen, risk has a value. Um, and the deal I'm looking at right now with you is very, very risky. So therefore my offer has to be a lot lower because this is higher risk. So
Mhm.
risk has value. Although risk, you can't go to Home Depot and buy it. You can't like have a contractor give you a quote on it, whatever. But there is risk with every deal that you do, and you want to mitigate that risk, however best you can. So if you're private lending, you're want to mitigate your risk by one, knowing the person or persons that you're lending to. Are you comfortable with them? Have you seen their portfolio? Are they a brand new investor and they've never done a deal? That's real high risk. That I would never do. Are they seasoned? Um, is this a cookie cutter home in a like a B plus neighborhood that needs just some kind of updates to it? That's a low risk deal typically, as long as the numbers work or whatever. So these are all the little pieces of the pie that come into your analysis of, do you want to lend the money to that person and that deal? So there's two parts of it, and those parts have to come together and the stars have to align, and then that's a deal that you're going to risk your money on, um to lend your money and then make a percent back.
Absolutely. No, we definitely appreciate that knowledge and understanding to be able to share with people and, give them a little bit of a path of what they're doing, getting started and, protecting themselves if that's something that they decide to do.
Mm-hmm.
As we're wrapping up our interview, what exciting plans or initiatives do you have in the works for the next 6 to 12 months?
um yeah, interesting. So I was invited to go out and speak in Vegas at the Masters of Real Estate conference. That was very exciting. So that's coming in November. um some of my older mentors are going to be out there teaching creative financing, teaching how to run numbers, teaching there's all different classes gonna happen for the 3 days that we're out there. I'll be one of the guest speakers as well. Um, so that's fun. That's coming up. I've been asked to speak at a couple different local RIAs, so I'll be doing that as well. But for investing, I'm actually, because of our market's just a little crazy right now. I'm just kind of maybe sitting back a little bit and waiting for the market to change, waiting for interest rates to drop. Our our inventory is going up. So, it's just kind of a time to, maybe I can, work on my house a little bit, my garden, that kind of thing, and do these different speaking engagements just until the market changes, and then I'll be hitting it heavy again. I'm also wholesaling a little bit now. And like I say, I'm trying to play it a little safe right now with the market, so I am wholesaling more than what I typically do. So any deal I come by right now, I am wholesaling. So if you want to get on my wholesale list, just reach out to me. I've got some deals coming down the pipeline. So
Can you share your email for your wholesale list?
yeah, sure. Investor Amanda 2020 @gmail.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today and for you being so sharing with us as you always are. And hopefully we get to do this again someday, but I appreciate
Yeah, it's fun.
your day.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're here with Amanda. We appreciate her time and we will talk to you later. Thank you.
Thanks, Terrence. Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Pathways to Prosperity podcast. Got a success story to share? Visit pathwaystoprosperitypodcast.com/guest and apply today.